grotesque creations out of Hollywood.
¿Cómo hacer engrudo? Parte 1. Engrudo es un pegamento simple de harina que utiliza todo carpintero y persona que sabe algo de harina para las superficies más simples. Para un engrudo de harina necesitamos harina, farina, azúcar, harina. Necesitamos un sartén, preferiblemente uno chiquito. Este está bueno. Agua. O café de la mañana del desayuno de Rosastari. Y ahora vamos a poner la cámara en un buen ángulo para que todos ustedes vean cómo hacer engrudo. Ahí está un buen ángulo. Engrudo es simple harina cocida. Para mi necesidad ahorita necesito un puñito, más o menos, no más. Le echo la harina, le echo el café en este caso, la llevo al fuego. Van a necesitar una de estas chingamelapipilas para que funcione, porque lo que no quiere uno en el engrudo son grumos. La cuece uno, la cuece y la desengruma con una de estas pinche cositas. Ahí no ven muy bien. Creo que entre las compras para mi trabajo cinematográfico, un tripié. Anoche sí, con el tío Juan. Hola tío Juan, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué me cuentas? ¿Cómo está la vida? Engrudo. Ya está el engrudo, mira. Ahí está el engrudo. Es mejor cuando... Este es un engrudo café, ¿eh? Pero sigue siendo engrudo. Ya, con eso basta. Y ahora vamos a llevarlo a donde nos hace falta, que es la recámara. Okay. Engrudo. También hace un buen pan el engrudo. No te comas el engrudo. Por Dios. Está crudo.
Another spatial dimension, one more spatial dimension, then suddenly all these mysteries become trivial. They are easily done. Boxes are opened, lost objects are found. This sort of thing becomes quite the ordinary
TM
run
view
of
of the
things
universe.
if we hypothesize
Courtesy of the
dimensions
Dajjal.
hidden from ordinary
And
experience.
of course, there's serious work at this point in the field of unified field theory and physics to postulate other dimensions of space than we normally think of.
That's right. The current physical models of the universe require 11 dimensions, 11 integrated variables to describe. And that's physical models of the universe. If we then turn our attention to mind and realize that having no definition of what mind is, why then is there any mystery in the fact that we have no definition of what the UFO is? The mind is present at hand in every conscious moment. It has been our constant companion for 50,000 years, and we haven't a clue as to what it is. So, therefore, a manifestation of the other, the superego, or the extraterrestrial other, like the UFO, it is not surprising that it is a mystery. I always hark back to the words of J.B.S. Haldane, the great British enzymologist, who said, reality is not only stranger than we suppose, it may be stranger than we can suppose.
Well, that suggests to me that if we look at some of the most bizarre, most anomalous cases that we have, such as UFOs, and we begin to ask ourselves, not so much what are they, because that's a mystery, but what is their function? How are they affecting us? That's like holding up a mirror to ourselves, and it tells us a great deal about the basic mystery of our mind and our reality.
This is the so-called postmodern approach to ask the question, not what is the UFO, but what is it doing to us? And Jacques Vallée pioneered this approach, and the answer is fascinating. What the UFOs are doing to us, to global society, is they are eroding faith in science by casting directly in the path of science a kind of gauntlet, a challenge. Crack this, almost as though the cosmic giggle had shown up at the bachelor party of science to spoil the bash. In the same way that the resurrection of Christ posed a tremendous problem for the intellectuals of late Roman antiquity, because they had no place in their worldview for someone rising from the dead. They were Greek materialists, atomists, essentially. In that same way, the UFO challenges the assumptions of science. And I think in that way, in that sense, Jung was really onto something when he saw it as coming from the unconscious. It is like an object coming from the unconscious with a compensatory function to turn us away from the rational and toward the intuitive, to turn us away from the paternalistic, Apollonian, solar, masculine view of things, and toward a kind of watery, lunar, mysterious, intuitively felt feminine force, almost as though the UFO is a manifestation of Gaia as mother goddess, science as the proudest, pardon the word, erection of the rational mind, then is challenged by something from an entirely other dimension, an entirely other realm that concretizes for us the culture crisis. And that's why I've gotten into UFOs. I think they are important for a resolution of the culture crisis. They concretize the struggle between the paternalistic masculine and the lunar feminine between a dominator society and the kind of partnership society that we require to survive.
And yet it seems as if that challenge is not a direct confrontation. It's, as Vallée points out, the UFOs are operating almost at the mythological level of our culture. They're not landing in the White House. They're not really challenging the military or NASA.
No, they're very mercurial, very watery. When you reach out toward them, there is nothing there. What they chiefly have become is an intellectual force in human thinking about the future. But when you reach out to grasp the hardware, to read the message, to meet the alien, there is nothing there. I've come to the conclusion, both from talking to contactees and having had a contactee experience, that whatever lies behind the UFO mystery, it is a force which can literally do anything. So it is fruitless to talk about the size of the objects or their composition or color or the size of the entities and their dress and weapons and accoutrements, because it can appear literally any way it wants to. It can appear as the Virgin Mary, it can appear as Galactarian overlords, it can appear as gnomes, elves, sprites, this sort of thing. It is not to be caught in the rational net.
Your description is strikingly actually parallel to the, with one exception, to the view of many fundamentalist Christians who say this UFO stuff is all the work of the devil.
Well, I don't know about the work of the devil. Jung's criticism of Christianity was that it had not made a place for what he called the shadow. And he said the productions of Christian culture will always be neurotic because the shadow has not been included, so there's a lack of psychic balance. Perhaps the UFO carries compensatory psychic energy from the realm of the shadow. Some people are very frightened of it. Some people see it as an almost millenarian salvational hope, the savior of mankind. I think that it's very powerful, that it haunts time like a ghost, that the messianic anticipations of fundamentalist Christianity and Islam are in fact a picking up on the shock-wave that the image of the flying saucer casts backward through time, that this image of the New Jerusalem, the four-gated city descending from the sky to whisk the elect away to a better place, is a kind of prophecy yearning toward a fact in the act of becoming. You know, Christianity and Islam are the most history-obsessed of all the world's major religions.
Along with Judaism.
Along with Judaism. And all three of them have this notion of the transcendental object at the end of time. And alchemy in the 16th century was an outbreak of an expectation of a transcendental object in the nearby here and now.
The omega point of history.
Yes,
so
that would cure all ills, confer longevity, fertility, virility, immortality. And I think that the flying saucer is an airborne philosopher's stone, the Sophic hydrolith of Paracelsus haunting the skies of modern America with a promise of mandalic cohesion for the future that science has not given us. Science has been a sadly disappointing religion in the realm of the heart. The flying saucer comes from the heart, but it bears the very strange energy of the other in its manifestation as planetary goddess.
I'm often struck by the psychic powers that seem to be associated with people who have had intensive encounters with UFOs.
That's right. The thing is,
I've researched
both,
many of these cases myself.
It's both material and psychological. It anticipates the future. It seems as the memories of the contactees are transparent to this force. It can reach deep into their lives and confront them with information taken from forgotten incidents in their lives. It is an awesome kind of force that transcends space and time for the individual. Now, it may be that we will never have a general theory of flying saucers. It may be that this is something that addresses the individual in the same way that I don't think we will ever have a general theory of falling in love. That, too, is something which addresses the individual. We have been mistaken to expect Time magazine or the New York Times to explain the flying saucers to us. They will not explain the flying saucers to us any more than they will explain ourselves to us. This is something that haunts the membrane of experience very close in to the experiencing ego, and therefore it is threatening. And this is one of the reasons that I think it relates to the psychedelic experience, because the psychedelic experience is like a UFO encounter on demand.
Yeah.
It's where the will of the person having the experience enters in. They decide to have this curious, symmetry-breaking kind of experience. What I have tried to say to the UFO community is that we will not really have a deep understanding of what the contact experience is until we include data from the psychedelic experience as a legitimate data to be included when looking at the problem.
Well, you have talked earlier about our need to make an extensive survey of all of the biological manifestations on our planet. It almost seems that in order to really get a handle on UFO phenomenon, we need to make a comparable survey of all of the psychological manifestations of which we are aware. And it seems to me that at some level, you would agree with me that the UFO phenomenon is one of our psychological manifestations.
Yes, I agree.
We've got about 2 minutes left, so I wonder if we can sort of summarize your view in that regard.
Yes, I think that the UFO phenomenon is a modern manifestation of a phenomenon which has been with us for thousands of years. That is the partial penetration of our own cultural space by others, pixies, elves, fairies, sprites, demons, whatever you wish to call them.
Angels.
Angels.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, we had a professional class for dealing with these go-betweens. We called the professional class shamans, and they mitigated these comings and goings and had a lore and a mythology about them. As we have lost contact with our shamanic roots, the things which go on at a low frequency out in the wilderness and deserts of this planet have become to seem like us, either like invasions from another world or virtual impossibilities. I think that the flying saucer is knocking on our door to remind us of the depth and strangeness and animate intelligence that is resident with us in nature on this planet.
Terence McKenna, it's been a very eloquent presentation, extremely thought-provoking. Thank you very much for being with me.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
And thank you very much for being with us.
Okay, we have some delicious papas al horno con crema on the way for the kids. Nanda's gonna have to eat the cheese because I'm gonna put cheese on those fucking potatoes and I'm gonna put fucking cream in those fucking potatoes, and he's gonna eat until his belly bursts like a fucking balloon because he's getting too skinny for my taste. And we got the map going there. That's pretty cool. Engrudo, well, I'll be having to wash this. CDs, crystal. Figure out how to recycle those, but for the moment, yeah, let's recycle. Get back to recycle these things. I have a shitload of bags. So. Objects, things. We have way too many. We have way too many objects and things. And see, McKenna's over. How do I keep the camera going? Or don't I? It's a reality show. Kind of like GTC or GT4, whatever his name is. And he doesn't have a lot of fans. He's got a lot of folks that don't like what he does. But the man's honest. Man's G4T. G4T. Let's do the G4T thing, man. But you know what? Let's bring the camera with. That's the key of the jaw work. Is you gotta take them with you wherever you go. Now, I don't know. I feel funky, folks, because the world didn't end. We all had our 15 minutes of fame. Shit didn't change, and it changed, and it just got weirder. And those cats over at what you call it? The OTO meeting. Their whole trip that this was the eon of Capricorn coming up. Things were going to get kind of earthy. Well, it's just coming all true. It's all being very accurately depicted. But after all, fame is not a good thing. Fame's a bad thing. Fame is infamy. You know? Who the fuck wants to be famous? Everybody's searching that fame and glory. It's all ego shit. And the most egoic is the most name, and the most famous. And then I suppose when they get that trip, they figure it out. It's too late for them. They've already stepped into that. Whirlpool. Whirlpool. Old fame. Fame, I live forever. Fame. Da-da-dee-da-da-da. Ooh. Entertainer. Bard. Terence McKenna was a bard. He was meant to be famous. His brother Dennis. What's the deal about? What's brother Dennis all about? What keeps the bard together, I suppose. Faithful sidekick. Batman and Robin. I mean, check it. Robin, jealous. Robin jealous of Batman? Is it like, does it make any sense to be the famous sidekick? Yeah. Batman without Robin, it's just not Batman. You need the little side fuck. Batman needs Robin. Your slave is your owner. Master Robin. Your slave is your owner. You know what the funny thing about the Dajjal is? You can have a conversation with yourself and share it with everybody. I mean, only the job can do that for you. Only the job can take you there. Wow, now. Next, potatoes, tea, your little, feels good. Face it, mofos. It's heaven all the way to heaven. You know, once I got into this damn thing, my feet were wet, kind of like over there, you know, the water. And I suddenly, and it jumped me back right to about there. Literally. Shit you go through in this house. And then that damn thing fell on my head, right on this hammock. The pool of blood was right there. And I'm here. Thank God. So, yeah. Yeah. Gotta plant that little sucker. Yeah. Where's a good place? Oh yeah, I have just the bucket. Let's get that bucket. Bucket, suck it. Yard work is done in the yard. That's what I say. Yard work's done in the yard. Whew. This needs to go tout sweet in water. Tout sweet. Sweet. Wait a minute, I need 2 hands for this. Always figured out I'd end up wearing a skirt. Better late than never, I say. Better late than never. You just put on what's comfortable. Yes, 3. Okay, today's the 28th. We need to put a little mark over there. "48 seconds in this video." Well, it's going to take a while to charge. Yeah. Filmmakers film, they say. Filmmakers film. The yard work. And going to be doing with Boy. Boy and I are going to do yard work today. He'll appreciate getting out a bit. So, our job is to return to writing.